You all ready? Yes, sir. Great. Good morning, all. It's September 4th, 2025. The Lee County Port Authority meeting will convene. We have the invocation from Newton Athletic. Did that right?
From Lehigh? Yes.
I know you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome you to the presence of invocation this morning at this time. Shall we bow our heads together? Holy Father, your people have gathered together to do your business. They're under assignment. This is assignment that has been commissioned to them by divine appointment. And so I pray today that you will be here to guide, to direct, and to help us understand that which you desire to be accomplished for your people. As they have been selected to do this work, we know that your Holy Spirit's blessing is upon them. And so as we gather together, Lord, we pray that they will do that which they do decently and in order. May there be a spirit of collegiality, a spirit of goodness and wellness designed for the people of this geographic area of Florida. Oh Lord, I pray that you will grant wisdom and understanding. And may we know today that the knowledge that has been given is given so that it can be appropriately applied, because wisdom is indeed the appropriate application of knowledge. To grant each commissioner here that insight, that gentle understanding of that which is necessary to keep us safe, to keep the area safe. Grant that runways may be functional, that corridors might be operational, and that there may be proper entrances and exits prepared and executed for the people. May there be a pleasant presence. May there be hospitality and atmosphere of welcome and wellness here in Southwest Florida because of what they do today. Then I pray, Lord, that you will grant that the future might be well set, that the agenda that has been prepared might be properly executed, that each member of this commission group might do your will according as you have divinely appointed. Thank you, Lord, for choosing these gentlemen and ladies to do this job. And may their blessing, your blessing, be upon them. And may they in turn bless others and bless us, so that there will be a welcoming presence here in Southwest Florida for all who would come from all hues, from all nationalities, from all sectors of our world, to find oneness and company so that we can be eventually, Lord, brought together by you in the great runway and pathway of heaven's gates. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Turn to the flag, please. I pledge
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you.
We will turn over to you for staff recognition.
Oh, we'll do that first. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to, we got a full audience. Leandro, where's Leandro here? Hey, Leandro. Leandro's not here. Well, just want to put out there, we have a new director of engineering and construction. Leandro was our previous senior manager of engineering and construction. If you remember Hector, who left the organization a little while ago, this replaces him. Leandro, he's got a long career in managing various projects, construction and facilities. Most recently, prior to his previous role at the Port Authority, was in Collier County. doing large projects down there. Leandro holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in engineering and a Master's of Science in engineering management. And he's also a licensed professional engineer in both Texas and Florida. I don't know if she's not here. I'd also like to introduce Christina. I know she's right here. Hello, Christina. She's our new Director of Concessions. Christina brings more than 20 years of experience in retail management and merchandising. She's also been responsible for the sales, design, and product production, most recently at Paradis La Jardère, which is one of our RSW retail concessions, where she oversaw 125 employees working out of the 18 retail stores that they have here, as well as the Dunkin' Donuts. So we welcome both of them to the fold, and congratulations on the new hires. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good, Steve?
I am good, sir. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. There's nothing to deal with on the recap. Go to the consent agenda. Items to be pulled for discussion by the board. Commissioner Hammond.
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Pendergrass.
I have none.
Commissioner Marker.
I have two.
Okay.
Number 1 and number 9, please.
Number 9. Okay, can I entertain a motion?
I move the balance.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Gabriel, we'll go to number 1 first.
Okay, so this is an easy one. The minutes for the March board meeting that we had for the special meeting for the reset project. There were some updates and some minutes added just to clarify some of the word-for-word testimony that was given that day. And it took a little time for the clerk to update those records. And I wanted to make a motion that we use the updated copy that I believe was prepared last night. It was just a little bit too late to make the agenda. Is it online? So I'll ask the county attorney
Richard, how do we
what the
proceed?
procedure is for that.
Mr. Chairman, the commissioner should make a motion to accept the amended minutes as distributed late last night.
I would like to make a motion to accept the amended minutes as distributed last night.
I'll second that. A motion and a second. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment on item number 1? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion?
Can somebody just tell me what were the amendments that were made?
So, two points. The discussion that was had regarding Manhattan guaranteeing the on-time, on-schedule minutes, their exact testimony was listed, and also the content of the motion that I made was outlined in full, just to clarify the points that the reasons that I made the motion. That also included as an example, Steve Hennigan giving us the $100,000 notification of change orders and expenses to keep us apprised of the current project details. So I just wanted to make sure that all those details were lined out for future reference.
Okay. I had a question real quick. Is somebody is the clerk here or anybody from, we usually don't have things like this come up. I guess, does the clerk's office agree with the amendments? Are these, it's their role to keep the minutes of the meeting?
Yes.
Clerk's office agrees with them? Okay. All right, well then, thank you. That answers my questions.
Yeah. Chairman? Sure. I have no problem. It's just, I was concerned because we got not this, but other emails too at 7:48 last night. And being that I didn't have my iPad with me, I wasn't able to open some of the documents on my phone because of bad service with the service carrier we use. So I wasn't able to open those documents at 7:48, 12 hours before this meeting today. So for the future, hopefully we can get that notification sooner than the night before the meeting. So we actually can review it before we vote on it.
Okay. Any other comments? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 9, David.
So I brought this up in our review, and I'm going to ask Steve's assistance on this. The Procore software. Can you tell us about your why you want to use this software and how it'll help us?
Yes, definitely. Thank you. And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes, thank you,
absolutely.
sir. So the airport currently does not have a system in-house to house, the construction basically a construction management platform. And Procore is an industry kind of best practice, best standard platform that our current construction companies utilize on both of our primary product or projects, as well as the companies that will be forthcoming with some of the other agenda items we have today. The nuances about having that owned by the airport are several, but the primary one is the airport controls it. We no longer will have to pay somebody else to house information. Without this, the way that our contracts are set up is once the projects are done, they provide us with the data. Without Procore in-house to have a location to store that data, we can't utilize the data. Also, we pay them to utilize Procore. It makes more sense to own Procore. The way that this is structured with the contracts, or with this contract, it's off of a CIP budgeted amount. In this instance, this number, the $319,000, represents $200 million, I believe, worth of work in any given year. If there is less work in that year, then that number goes down. Subsequent, if there's more, it goes up. So the process that will happen with this is with the items also on the agenda today with both Parsons and Jacobs, respectively, they will add those two projects, phase 1 and phase 2, into our Procore. Parsons will then be training our staff on the utilization of Procore, and then we will have that conduit of real-time updates once they set it up, that it flows into ours. So our information is more robust as opposed to just the administrative rights. Jeff Kaiser, I think some of you know, is here from Parsons. He recently did a similar project in Fort Lauderdale. So if there's any questions on that transition, he's available to speak to that. But we're very confident that this is moving the airport in the right direction. Instead of paying people to house data that we don't have the ability to use, we own it, we retain it, we have first look at things.
Thank you. No, I fully support Procore, and it's something that I use in my business with my customers and many general contractors. It's a great platform. When I saw on the contract a $300,000 startup software package, and we have relatively limited users and are going to ramp up period, the way their pricing works, as I understand it, is it's based on the dollar amounts that you work through. And I simply made a suggestion that we consider more of an entry-level start price, for the first year, maybe, and if we can change it as we go to not, maybe we don't need $300,000 worth our first year as we're just acclimating to the process and getting started. If there's a way to negotiate the contract instead of a flat $300,000 startup, they have different tier pricing, and I just asked them to look at that as a budget item for consideration.
So to that, we're putting in roughly $2 billion worth of projects right now. So that on top of something like the parking garage, or if we use it for the public safety building, we'll do that. But as I noted, if that dollar amount adjusts lower, the cost to us will be lower. So if instead of doing 200 million in projects this next year, we only loaded in with 100 million, to your point, our cost will go down.
So can I just ask a follow-up?
Yes, sir.
If Manhattan's already using it for $1 billion and Suffolk's already using it for $1 billion, and they're already getting paid for those projects, and we get our own subscription and put those same two projects, then we're paying on top of that for $2 billion worth?
No, so
Or do we get credit for the just a?
So they own, so per contract, they have those and they're utilizing those. At the end of contract, we get a data dump. But we're going to be able, through the Parsons contract and the Jacobs contract, to get that information now. So all of that information will be fed, and as it's updated, it'll be fed into our system. So essentially the remainder, let's say, of the Suffolk project will start getting loaded into that. But then moving forward, all of our projects that we're doing will be housed in Procore, which is where that 200 million comes from to move forward. So we're going to have the repository, but our work in addition to that is where that 200 million is brought up. But
So we're not paying twice.
correct. Yeah, but the benefit for us is instead of waiting to the end to have visibility, we have visibility now, but waiting to the end to upload all that stuff, we'll be able to do that as soon as possible.
No, it's a great tool. Again, it was just a matter of how we ramped it up and to make sure we weren't being double billed for work we already were paying for the for the existing contracts. So
Yes.
thank you for that clarification. I'll move the item with that, make a motion to move the item.
I have a motion on the floor. I'll second that. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment on item number 9? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any conversation?
No, I'm glad you brought up those questions about the pricing. I saw the pricing for $319,000 a year and thought that was exorbitant myself. But I understand now how it's going to be used, so I appreciate that. Good conversation.
We have a motion and a second. No other discussion. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now move on to the administrative agenda. We need to convene. Yeah.
If I could, but point of order is to help the officers out here, so we had the finest of the airport here today. Can we move 42 up first?
Absolutely.
Just so these men and women can either go home and go to sleep or go back to work today. That'd be great.
That's a motion?
Yes, I make a motion, we bring 42 to the front of the agenda.
I will certainly do the same. I'll second that. I have a motion, a second on the floor. Any public comment on moving 42 up? Seeing none, bring it back up to here. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Number 42. Haven't voted yet.
Yeah, vote, that was just to move it up a little bit.
They're clapping so they can
There you
get
go,
out of here
yeah.
earlier too.
But hey, we are in the safest room in Lee County right now, so that's a good thing.
We are on a roll.
May I make a point? My understanding is these folks are here on their day off, or they're not, in other words, they're not taking time off from working to be here. And I think that's commendable that they would do that.
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
That's great. Good point.
Commissioners, item 42 is a request to approve a 3-year collective bargaining agreement between the Lee County Port Authority and the Florida State Lodge Fraternal Order of Police. This approves the 3-year agreement. The one part of that would be able to come back is every year they may ask to talk about any sort of remuneration. Other than that, staff is available for any questions you may have.
Any questions?
I move the item.
I'll second that. Motion is second. Any public comment? See, now I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any other conversation?
I just want to say thanks staff and thanks to the other side working together in good faith, and they came together a great bargaining unit here. This go for the next 3 years. You have a 3-year contract. So again, thank you to the men and women that serve here at the Port Authority. You do a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very positive feedback in my briefing. I thank you for all your service.
Thank you, commissioners.
Any other comments? I have a motion and a second on the floor. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now you can clap. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. Appreciate all your work. All right, let's go back to 23. We'll convene as the Board of County Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, item 23 is to authorize the chairman and appropriate staff to execute documents necessary with regard to establishing a revolving credit facility agreement with the Bank of America. Mr. Chairman, this item is in your capacity as members of the Board of County Commissioners. Following this item, you'll reconvene as the Port Authority Commissioners and approve the identical item. Staff recommends approval, and if you have any questions, we're available to address.
Any questions for the county attorney?
Move the item.
Second?
Motion and a second on the floor. Any public comment on item number 23? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now reconvene as the Board of Commissioners for item number 24. Hey, Dave.
Morning, Commissioners. Dave Amnor, CFO for the record. Item 24 is the same item that was just before you as you convene as the Board of County Commissioners. This item requests board approval an amendment to increase our line of credit that we got with Bank of America from $50 million to $100 million. We've had this line of credit with Bank of America since May 2020. We've amended the agreement a couple times. This will be the third amendment. Most recently, we came to the board in November 2024 to amend the revolving credit facility to put an option to increase the maximum principal amounts, along with a few other changes that we made to the agreement. We're now requesting that the board give approval to move forward with increasing the amount from $50 million to $100 million. And this will provide us the flexibility to provide interim financing on some of our capital improvement projects that we have in our program over the next couple of years. So the primary use in the short term will be to fund the terminal expansion phase 1 project prior to heading to the bond market in early 2026. Any questions?
Any questions?
I'll move the item, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it. Motion and a second on the floor. I'll go to public comment on item number 24. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close it. Bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 25.
For administrative item number 25, we are requesting that the board tentatively approve the fiscal year 2025-26 Lee County Port Authority budget, the fiscal year 2025-26 rates and fees pursuant to the airline use and lease agreement, fiscal year 2025-26 compensation plan, the fiscal year 2025-6 Page Field rates and charges, and provide authorization for the executive director to make interfund transfers throughout the year as necessary to maintain proper cash flow. So the budget before you today is the same as what we presented to you at the May budget workshop, with very minor exceptions. So after that meeting after meeting with our signatory carriers and reconciling our budget model with our airport financial consultant, we just made some very minor tweaks to space and how we allocate debt. There were no changes to any of the assumptions for any of the personnel expenses, operating expenses, or debt service amount. So I'll just provide a quick recap of the operating budgets for both RSW and Page Field, just as a reminder from our budget workshop in May. But I don't plan to go over the full budget in detail, as there were no changes in assumptions to what was presented to you. But if you have any questions on anything, please feel free to ask me. The total proposed RSW airport operating budget is $237 million. It's a decrease of $2.6 million or 1.1%. The total operating expenses are $57.5 million. That's a decrease of $132,000 or 0.23%. We have some planned reductions in maintenance projects and utilities. These reductions are partially offset by increases in our IT budget, as well as our property insurance. Personnel expenses are budgeted to be $55.9 million. That's an increase of $2.7 million or 5.1%. The increases are attributable to the additional 5 full-time positions, a proposed 5% pay plan adjustment effective October 1st, the Port Authority's employer contribution rate for FRS, and an increase on the employer's share of employee health costs. In terms of revenues at RSW, total non-signatory airline revenues are projected to be just shy of $100 million. That's flat compared to the prior year budget. We're showing noteworthy increases in parking and investment income, but those are offset by decreases in rental car revenue and terminal concessions. And just as a reminder, terminal concessions will be impacted by ongoing construction going on in the terminal, and the number of our restaurants and retail stores are undergoing a remodel to refresh some of our concession concepts. So we met with the signatory airlines on May 22nd and presented the budget in detail. They were very appreciative of the decrease in operating expenses given the planned increases we have in debt associated with our capital program. We received multiple compliments in our efforts to contain costs both in person, via email, and in a formal letter from the chair of the airline committee, and a copy of that letter is in front of you. So a good budget is planned for RSW. For Page Field, we're also projecting a positive year as well. Revenues are budgeted to be $11.6 million. That's a $653,000 or 5.9% increase. The majority of the increase is attributable to higher net fuel sales. Total gallons sold are projected to be 2.4 million gallons, which is a 6.6% increase. This also factors in a full year of rents for the 81 new South Quad hangars that opened up earlier this year. Total personnel costs are projected to be $5.3 million. That's an increase of $263,000 or 5.2%. And that assumes the same 5% pay plan adjustment and factors in the previously mentioned increases to medical insurance premiums that I mentioned earlier. So in total, we're looking at a surplus of $2.5 million, which is a $95,000 or 4% increase over the prior budget. So that's all I had for budget recaps. The motion before you is for tentative approval for the budgets that will go before you again at the public hearing later today and again on September 16th.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll gladly move approval of this budget.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion?
I just wanted to highlight the letter that he talked about as well, Mr. Chairman, from the Airport Airlines Committee. You know, they list all of the wonderful things that he just listed in this budget: cost containment, keeping the budget flat, and then they really highlight it by saying this outcome is exceptional, and the airport's leadership team deserves strong recognition for their stewardship and responsiveness to the airline's concerns. I just think that's high praise, that when you get praise like that, you got to recognize that. So, Steve, thank you to you and your team for keeping the budget in line as we head into what'll be a tough year for maybe many reasons, but thank you very much for looking forward on that.
Thank you, sir.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I just had one question, please. For personnel expenses and the increased wages category you mentioned for employee wages and benefits, I just caught my attention that the wages raised at Page Field are 3.4%, and they're 4.2% at RSW, and the benefits are 8.7% at Page Field and 6.8% at RSW. So it's the same combination percentage increase, but the allocation is different. And I was just curious what the difference was. So
I'm looking at a different slideshow. I'm looking at their operating expenses personnel for Page Field. You might be looking at something different, but I'm showing a 5.21% increase in their budget.
5.21 total, but the benefits are 8.72%, and the salaries are 3.4%.
I need to make sure I'm looking at the same thing. The benefits might be going up slightly higher because of the medical insurance that I mentioned, as well as the FRS contribution. I don't have the personnel.
If I may, that's the year-over-year change. So with personnel staffing and the fluctuation, vacancy factors, these are that.
It's not the rate of the raise.
Correct.
It's the
Correct.
cost of the
Yes, sir.
department.
Yes, sir.
I was trying to true up those
Oh,
numbers.
yeah,
Since
yes.
You said 5% pay
Yeah,
raise.
so,
And
so to the question of should it show a pure 5% because of, no, it's the factor how people are, the pay grade in which people are at Page versus
who's on the
RSW.
insurance plan, who's not on the insurance plan.
Yes, sir.
But again, it was just 5% number was the total and the different breakdowns. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
No problem. Any other comments? We have a motion, a second, no other comments. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Go to 26.
Thank you, Bill.
Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Brian McGonigal, nice to see you. This number 26 is we're requesting the board approve a ground lease for construction and operation of a fixed base operator with at RSW with Signature Flight Aviation. Just a 2-minute background. May 31st last year, 2024, we advertised an RFP for an FBO. On September 3rd, 2024, we got 2 in that met the minimum requirements, Atlantic and Signature. Staff evaluation met on October 1st. We brought both firms to the ASMC in October 15th last year. They presented the ASMC shortlisted Signature. In May, the board concurred and told us to go back and negotiate a contract. So this is the contract with Signature before you today. It is it's a 30-year contract with 2 10s, so they can go out to 50, 30 plus 2 10s. It's 26 acres. The rent structure is 57 cents a square foot and various fuel charges. It's important to note that the rents and fees that Signature will be paying is exactly the same as the current FBO. So we're excited about that. I appreciate Jesse Flint, our Director of Properties, who worked real hard with the Signature folks to get this lease done. So happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Brian?
I have a question either for Brian or the attorney. This is the case where we have current pending litigation, correct? Is it something Joe just
Mr. Chairman?
followed yesterday?
Yes.
Yes, this case, the RFP at the heart of the litigation is this RFP. We are aware of I believe it was either after hours, early morning communication from the principal of the plaintiff to, I believe, each of you with regard of the notice of filing of a motion for summary judgment. Given that the litigation has been going on for well over a year, we find the timing of that filing interesting. I'll leave the speculation as to timing to other reasonable minds. However, I would suggest that the filing of that motion should not preclude your business consideration of this matter And at present, there are no legal impediments to you moving forward with this item as presented.
Thank you. I was asking for that, but since you were referring to the timing of this, actually that came in before the minutes and the changes of other items of this agenda. So the timing was actually earlier than the minutes and stuff we approved earlier. So I'm not going to support this, or I'd like to make a motion to defer to the litigation is over with the current judgment.
Motion on the floor.
If it's not time sensitive, was this time sensitive product here?
Mr. Chairman?
The two vendors?
Please.
I believe the time sensitivity is with regard to the commencement of the lease and hence then the commencement of the revenue generated therefrom. And the litigation could take quite some time. We do not believe it will be decided on a motion for summary judgment, at which time we would then proceed to a trial and perhaps appeals following the trial determination.
I was just thinking for the sake of the Port Authority things litigation, if we just put this on the table for a few months to see what happens to the litigation, that was the motion for to defer until then.
Understood. Mr. Chairman, that is a business decision for the board. As stated, though, it's to just be decided by the board whether they want to run the risk of losing the revenue that could accrue between now and final judgment.
So if I understand this correctly, and I had a similar question, Mr. Pendergrass, if the costs of litigation outweigh the revenue from the rent, then that may have an impact on how we proceed, in my opinion.
County Attorney?
Mr. Chairman, the litigation is being handled in-house by our office, so the expenses of that litigation are already being covered by the Port Authority. There are no additional expenses for outside counsel. This is just a matter of one of several hundred matters we handle in our office. So there are no additional external expenses.
Is this the lawsuit where the prevailing party wins attorney's fees?
It depends on the nature of the litigation from this point forward. In Florida, there's no automatic entitlement to attorney's fees. It comes down to whether offers of judgment are made or the rules under which the litigation will proceed. At this point, I cannot say affirmatively whether one party or the other would be entitled to attorney's fees and costs.
Any other questions?
You know what, I'll second your motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second on the floor. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would if you, okay, so I guess for the folks playing along at home, I always feel bad for people who are watching these meetings because we don't really give any context about what we're talking about. They're just watching the meeting and they're like, they're talking about item 26. What is that? So item 26 is the opportunity to lease approximately 26.2 acres of land to Signature Flight Support LLC. This is a company that wants to start a new fixed base operation at RSW Airport. Right now, we currently have a fixed base operation, and that provider so far was the only one. They had basically a monopoly on the general aviation fixed base operator position at the airport. So this is, basically FAA government property. We have grant assurances and things like that. And when we had companies come to the airport and say, hey, we would also like to compete, we would also like to be able to take part in the airport, we have a responsibility to open up things for competition under our grant assurances. So we held a request for proposals. Basically, we went through the procurement process that we were supposed to go through, and we took the bids, and this company, Signature, basically won that process, and they won the right to be able to negotiate a lease with us to build a second fixed base operator here at the airport. And then basically what happened in the interim was the initial fixed base operator said, well, I don't want the competition in a way, and they sued us to try to keep this from happening. So that's where we're at right now. So that's what the lawsuit is. They're suing to keep us with only, so that they can continue to be the only one. And now we've got somebody who's made it all the way to the point where they've won the bid and they've negotiated a successful lease. And I think if we don't accept this today, we, number one, might run afoul of our grant assurances with the FAA because we're not allowing open competition. But number two, probably then get sued by Signature as well because they're like, hey, we won the deal and we made it this far. So I don't think this is a smart move from a business standpoint to defer this at all. I think, in fact, you put the Port Authority in probably even more jeopardy than it would be in right now. So I'm definitely not going to support the motion. I'm going to go ahead and go with the staff recommendation to move forward on this lease that they negotiated.
Commissioner Hammond, I appreciate your thorough explanation. It was very clear for the record. I'm going to support all your comments, and certainly I'm not going to do anything other than move forward with staff's recommendation.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, for the record, since I made the motion, my concern is of just treating all the tenants, future and current tenants. We want more business here. We want to continue to bring more business here with Skyplex. It's just treating all the tenants that's been here for 30 years, that's wanted to be here for 3 months, or is going to be here for the next 30 years, all equally and fair. And just make sure that we don't forget that, that does mean something, that they were here too, and they should be equally, when they treated equally within their lease agreements. And so they should have the same benefit as the new people coming here. As we see here with our employees, we want to make sure we respect our senior employees and treat all the new employees the same as we do the senior employees. Same thing with our lessees and people we have in contracts here. So I think, and that was my concern, that also making sure we don't put ourselves in litigation, that we put the brakes on this for a few months to see where the summary judgment goes that we just got yesterday or last night, where it goes from that. If it wasn't for that last night, then obviously I've been supportive of the project today. But being that happened last night, then that's my concern, making sure we don't put ourselves in a bad place.
County Attorney, what's your legal opinion of the repercussions if we were not to move forward with this?
Mr. Chairman, given our analysis of the strength of the litigation, or perhaps lack thereof, I think our concern is the Port Authority's potential liabilities by not allowing competition outweigh our concern over the strength of the pending litigation.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a follow-up question, please. Your motion isn't to kill the contract. Your motion is to defer the item.
Defer the item. I didn't specify a time. Defer the item just until the pending litigations, either so it comes to a conclusion with the current summary judgment.
So that potential exposure to non-competition being allowed here is simply a decision that hasn't been made or finalized yet. It's not that we made one against
To defer.
competition.
I could make the motion to defer with a time. I could do that. I don't know if that would make the difference to the county attorney or not, as far as the timeline goes. But
Do we have a timeline for what the normal timing of the?
County Attorney, maybe you could put on the record what your professional opinion is on the timeline this would take to conclude the litigation.
Mr. Chairman, this is going to be the standard lawyer answer of it depends. It depends on the court's dispensation of the motion for summary judgment, which we do not have high confidence in the plaintiff's success in that motion. If that were to be granted, the Port Authority would then have 30 days to potentially appeal that decision. That would take it to the Second District Court of Appeal. Those appeals take anywhere between 10 to 24 months to be decided. If the motion for summary judgment were denied, the plaintiff, in theory, could appeal that, and then the previous stated timeframes would apply, or the parties could agree to proceed on in the litigation to a final judgment. I don't believe there's any trial set at this point, so at best, given what we've experienced out of the court system, you may be looking at a trial late this year, early part of 26, depending on the outcome of that trial. Either party could appeal, and then you're back in the second DCA with the timeframes previously announced.
So if I've understood everything you said, realistically, we would have to defer. Year and a half to 2 years?
Conservatively, yes, sir.
Mr.
I
Chair.
can amend my motion to a timeline of 3 to 6 months, and if that would make a difference, because I would not want to see it drag out for 2 years or even a year. So I can amend my motion to 6 months from today's date.
Would that give us enough time to go through the first steps of the summary judgment and the 30-day response window that you described?
Mr. Chairman, once again, it depends.
I know. Sorry.
And it depends on the court's calendar, because again, this was what we consider to be a late filing, perhaps well-timed on part of the plaintiff to file their motion yesterday. We do not have a court hearing date yet for even the hearing of that motion. So any certainty as to timeframes that I could afford this board would be a guess at best.
Is there a chance of settling this out of court? So to speak?
What's their demand?
The relief they're seeking is to continue to enjoy the monopolistic practices that
Gotcha.
they've enjoyed for the past 30-plus years.
I think the summary judgment says in the 14-page document, it's being treated equally and fairly as the current tenants are being presented to their, being offered those opportunities today in that current 14-page summary judgment. There was no mention of actually continuing operating as a single provider here in that summary judgment.
And I agree. I read that same provision of fairness, equity in their costs, and that concerned me, I have to admit.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just put on the record, because I'm not sure what purpose this hearing might play in the future, let me just reaffirm that it's staff's position as well as our legal position in both the lease agreement before you as well as the litigation that we have treated both parties fairly as required under federal legislation as interpreted by the FAA.
And I'm certainly not implying that we aren't. I just telling you what I read from what they sent me, which is their side of the story. So,
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to speak on behalf of the ASMC. We went through this very thoroughly because we have had a long-term FBO here that's been committed, done a good job, but we don't ever want to affect our grants. So we went through this very thoroughly, and we were very specific in asking our questions. Was this contract and everything that they're doing still in line with the RFP that was put out? Yes, it was. Does either party have exclusivity rights that the other one doesn't have? No. Same requirements, same fees. We went through everything. And so we've got a company here. Our decision was we have a company here that is stepping up and did everything that they were supposed to do. They are investing $27 million when they're only required to invest $15 million, which is a strong statement. And so we felt that we needed to keep on doing business. And so that's why we recommended it to you. So we were very thorough. Like, speak on that.
I agree with that.
that's an impressive number. Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that.
I agree.
Thank you for your comments. Any other discussion?
Just one last question, if I may, and maybe Mr. Hennigan can answer this. So as far as the FAA grant assurances, just so that we kind of all have an idea of how much grant money we potentially could have at risk here if we ran afoul of the grant assurances, how much do we plan on getting or are we getting currently from FAA grants? Like what are the purposes of those?
So this is kind of twofold, and I'll start with what you both just alluded to is airports are a fair market location, if you will. And much like airlines, we have people on staff whose sole purpose is to bring in new air service. And it is up to the individual company to compete in the market to provide the best value to the customer. If you want to go to New York, you can go to our terminal and pick from multiple airlines. The same thing happens on the north side of the airfield. If somebody wants to come in and compete, put value in dollars onto the ground to build a new structure that ultimately enhances the economy of Lee County and the surrounding counties, then we, based on the grant assurances, cannot stop them. That is, part of the monopoly and the grant assurances. It's different if you don't have room. Miami would be an example. They don't have room for multiple FBOs. RSW does. We have the item with signature. As Robbie alluded to, that was vetted. The numbers match. And by grant assurances, we have to allow them to do that. Where it gets sticky, if you will, is we have whatever the litigation pending is from a contractual standpoint, but we have our friends with the FAA on the other standpoint to your question. And they will look at past grants and current grants and future grants if they file against us. So I think just today on the docket, we have several $1 million. We're building, multi-billion dollars worth of infrastructure right now that the FAA has. We have things at Page Field. They could come calling for all of that and stop all of our future grants as well. So it's upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars that they could potentially come back or stop in the future, simply because we have not made the choice to allow a free market per the FAA grant assurances.
Thank you. That answers my question. I think, we have a company, we put out an RFP, we had a company that exceeded the recommendations there, or the what it called for, what we were looking for. And so I think at this point, it's probably not government's role to pick winners and losers. Let them come in and compete based on how the procurement went.
Agree.
So just for a point, I had made a motion earlier, had seconded, the second motion had a time that I did not get a second, so that's, I guess, no, that one's not going anywhere. But my concern, I guess, I want people to do business. I just want to probably avoid the litigation. I think what's going to happen, I think the county attorney touched on earlier, we got to serve the summary judgment last night. But again, if that other party served the same summary judgment as the FAA tomorrow or today, how would the FAA respond to that if this is approved or not approved today? How would they look at this if they serve the same summary judgment to the FAA? Because how is the FAA going to respond to that?
Yeah.
So either way, we're not going to be getting grant because they'll probably come to a standstill again, right?
If I may, Chair. So two different things there. First, with the FAA, the motion for summary judgment really has no effect on them. What they would do is they would have taken a complaint by Private Sky as to what this contract, could do. In the year and a half, they haven't chosen to do that. That would have been a faster route for them to get feedback from the FAA. And in fact, as part of our due diligence in this lease agreement, we actually met with the FAA to discuss the terms of the agreement to ensure that there were no issues. And one of the main things that the FAA talked about was the rates that we're actually charging need to be same. And so that's why what you'll see in the lease today is the two main charges that we have are going to be the same, which is first the ground lease, which is currently 57 cents per square foot. We've also matched the CPI adjustments so that both Signature and Private Sky go up at the same time. And then the second part is going to be the fuel flow fees. The fuel flow fees, again, any charges that change with Private Sky would apply to Signature as well. There are going to be differences in any lease because you're talking about different types of properties. For instance, what you're seeing today is a $27.1 million investment by Signature instantly, which is different than the way that Private Sky did, which is they put a little bit of investment first, and then they renegotiate a contract, put a little bit more investment in a little bit. And the fact is that the Signature contract is going to have a lot more into the land than Private Skies ever will. And that's common in all of these contracts that the FAA reviews. Their main point to us was that the rates that you charge on a daily, which is going to be your fuel flow and your per square foot, need to be the same.
So, my question is, so not the details of the contract, please, how would the FAA respond to this if they got a summary judgment served to them now after a year and a half? Will they still not stop this at all? That's what my question is.
No, so what they would do is, depending upon who made the complaint, because it could be from either party, and actually, generally speaking, most of the FAA complaints come from a FBO wanting to come to an airport and it's being denied access. So all of those cases that have come through the FAA look to see, did the airport have a reasonable basis to deny the FBO coming on board? Generally speaking, unless there is space constraints, or the reality is that's really the only thing is a space constraint. The FAA says you have to let those people operate because you have the ability. Now, if Private Sky, they could have gone through that same process, filed with the FAA a year ago, and that would have started the investigation. We would have met with the FAA, showed them what we were doing, and if the FAA thought we were violating grant assurances, they would have let us know, and we could have worked it from there. But that hasn't happened.
That didn't happen.
But if
No.
they did today, though, the question again, how long would that take to get through that process?
FAA typically acts quick on those inquiries, within a month or two. And the problem with that is typically when that happens, they'll freeze your grants. So they're going to say, okay, we're going to stop what we're doing, call a timeout on everything, and then
So they're quicker than approving a sign on tree line.
So one inquiry
It takes
from
6
one
months to get that
business
done.
at this airport could freeze the grants for the entire RSW?
it's up to the discretion of the FAA. That's at their discretion if they want to, because there is a formal complaint, knowing that we have gone to them, vetted the contracts with them. They've approved, as Rob just alluded to, the language, the cost, the fee, the structure, and this would go against the grant assurance, and it is within their right to freeze grants pending the outcome of their findings. Doesn't mean they always do it, but there have been cases out there that they have, and that's concerning to the airport.
Mr. Chairman, if I could also just add that for clarification, the FAA is not a party to this litigation.
Right.
The litigation is between Private Sky and the Port Authority, so the FAA is not a party. The administrative process that Rob and Steve just discussed has been available to Private Sky for well over a year now. And I would suggest that either they made a conscious decision to not pursue that, or that may be strategic in their backpack that they look to unpack at some point in the very near future. Mere supposition on my part, but I just wanted to clarify that the FAA is not a party to the litigation that's been discussed this morning.
May I ask a thought, please? So to your point, Steve, if that complaint from an outside party could cause that seismic effect you just made, whether we approve this today or we don't, that could still happen, that complaint.
The
Third
delay
party.
aspect of it, and to the point is,
That exposure to that
yes,
process is not relieved by how we vote on today's lease. They could do that anyway. I'm not here to give legal advice to any party,
correct,
but I'm just asking the question
correct,
that that's the complaint driven, not this agenda item driven.
yes.
If I may, Chair?
Absolutely.
I think there's a difference when you're looking at the initial complaint coming in. So a complaint coming in from Signature would look to be that the airport went through an RFP process, spent a year going through it, negotiated in good faith a contract for a second FBO with Signature. It came before the ASMC was approved, came before the board for consideration, and then at that point was put off. And with the only basis being there's some litigation, and so we want to wait. And so for Signature to make that complaint, it would be a compelling reason for the FAA to then get into it and really start investigating why we've done this, as opposed to if a complaint was filed by Private Sky, which has known about this for over a year. The FAA has been in talks with us regarding this lease and the bringing on a second FBO. So it's that matter of the strength of the case and what actions in the discretion of the FAA they have. And so, I think from looking at the past cases that I've seen that the FAA has ruled on, they are very intent on not allowing monopolies to exist. They want the competition. And so my concern is that a complaint to an FAA from Signature is a much worse outcome than it is a complaint from Private Sky.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you for clarifying that. So we have a motion on the floor. David, did you second his motion for 6 months?
Good, withdraw it.
So as of right now, the original motion was had a second. The second one did not have a motion. So that one failed.
I didn't intend to not follow, but at the same point, my point of seconding the motion was to get this dialogue out on the table and to make sure that we'd vetted this conversation to make sure that we're making an informed decision based on the facts presented before us. So
That's a no. You're not going to second the motion.
I'm not going to second that motion.
Okay. Commissioner Hammond, since that motion failed, your motion is to move out?
My original motion was still on the floor with the second.
Huh?
The original motion was still on the floor unless he's taking a second back to the original motion.
What was your original motion again?
To
Restate?
defer this item with no date certain until litigation. That was seconded by Commissioner Malika. The second motion, I made a motion to put a 6-month time limit. That never got a second though.
So without a 6-month time frame, there's basically no time frame associated with this. The second agrees with that?
I'm going to, Mr. Pendergrass, respectfully, I wanted to test out the theories and understand the facts, and now that I've heard more testimony, it swayed me to withdraw
That's fine.
But I supported the initial discussion to make sure that we
I was just
had our
trying,
eyes open and make sure we weren't walking into a train wreck by accident, so.
again, my intent was, obviously, we want business to come here. I just think the staff's being a little bit jealous with the whole FAA thing. We've heard this for the last 14 years. The FAA is going to do this. When you actually talk to FAA, they don't really care about business. They just want to get things approved. I don't think they're here to pick winners and losers, but I understand staff's position with past history with private sky. But I still.
I can
not
support
saying
it.
on that.
It seems
Thank
a
you.
little dramatic to say we've had a single FBO for 40 years and now we're going to have we weren't being competitive the last 40 years and nobody stopped funding us. So some of these things get to be a little overdone, but I withdraw my second.
Okay,
All right, Mr. Chairman,
So-
I'll make a motion to approve the staff recommendation.
I'll second that. Now go to public comment. A motion on the floor and a second to move forward with staff's recommendation. Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed?
I oppose.
All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
It's clear, okay. There's 3 ayes. We'll move forward with it. Thank you very much. Next item. Good discussion.
Thank you for the discussion, good discussion.
Very much.
Good morning, Commissioners. Steve Roque for the record. Administrative item 27 approves the final 2-year renewal of our contract with Daifuku North America Incorporated for operation and maintenance of RSW's baggage handling system, effective October 1st, 2025 through September 30th, 2027, at a monthly cost of approximately $233,071.38. Daifuku has been providing reliable, high-quality service since 2018. Their continued performance supports operational efficiency, system uptime. For this critical passenger processing function, the modest 3.8% increase reflects current labor costs. Funding is available through general operating revenue. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I'll move the item.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item.
Administrative item 28 authorizes the piggyback of a Collier County contract to purchase Ford fleet vehicles and associated aftermarket equipment or options from Sam Galloway Ford. Piggybacking this competitively awarded contract provides the airport with 3.4% discount off the dealer invoice price and no dealer markups associated with equipment and options. This approach avoids the cost and time of a separate procurement, secures favorable pricing, supports local vendor participation, and ensures predictable costs for long-term fleet replacement planning. The contract has an initial 3-year term with 3 1-year renewals with anticipated expenditures exceeding $1 million over the life of the agreement. Funding is available through the airport operating funds.
Any questions for Steve?
I actually have a question on this. So it just caught my attention that we were piggybacking off of Collier
Yes, sir.
on this contract and not Lee County.
We look at reasonable contracts within the Sourcewell agreements, and we find one that fits our needs. Yes, sir.
Okay, I just, sorry, I'm an old car guy before I was a contractor, but I looked at the Lee County contract as a piggyback opportunity. It's same Sam Galloway Ford, same 3.41%, but at the county, it's less holdback and not just invoice. So it might be worth considering comparing those two before you make a final answer. But either way, Ford in the contract I would support. I just wanted to compare, see if we test it out side by side with Lee County.
Mr.
For
Chair?
consideration.
This is one of the, and you'll see the next item is also almost identical with a different company. We hold several of these types of contracts. It's not solely for, a vehicle. It might be a part. So this allows us to go specifically to that company under contracted rate. One may have it, one may not, but it allows us that flexibility across the board and across the state using the various different contracts that we have. So,
right, but we are Lee County, so if we have a better deal that we can pass on to the port, I just wanted to have that considered.
yeah, we can definitely look into that. Yeah.
If it's not better, then
Understood.
that's my point. But we are Lee County, and if we have something we can offer ourselves, right hand, left hand, I think that makes sense.
we're Lee County, Collier County, and Charlotte County, understanding Lee County is,
Same vendor, same,
yeah.
uh,
As a representative of Collier County on this ASMC, I asked that question in the meeting, and it was determined, because the Ford dealer in Collier County is a friend of mine,
oh. Well, there's that.
Tim Zeller. Yeah, and I agreed that it was the proper thing to do.
Again, it was the same percentage, Lee County, Collier County. I just wanted to make sure that we had vetted that out. So,
We'll take a look.
thank you.
Yes, Randy.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. We worked this over pretty good in the ASMC. Usually, when we see these, they're Jacksonville or they're Tampa or they're Gainesville. And this is actually, in 9 years, the first one I've seen that was actually a Lee County business. And we commented that we were happy to be buying them from
Still
Sam Galloway
Yeah.
and keeping the money right here.
In a local
Because
economy.
you'll see the next one is Allen J, which is not a Lee County business.
Right.
And they have to do these governmental contracts and they negotiate the best prices and all that. But we were just jumping up and down that a Lee County business was gonna get this money.
Yeah, I'm happy. Again, Sam Galloway made the same offer to both counties, and I thought one looked a little sweeter, and I wanted to make sure that as a Lee County Commissioner, supporting the Port Authority Board Commissioners, that we were getting the best deal we possibly could. That's all.
Yeah, could you, Mr. Chairman, if I may ask a question? Could you
Absolutely.
explain what, so I don't understand the term holdback. I didn't work in the car business, so why is one deal better than the other? If the discount is the same 3.41%, then why is one deal better than the other?
I can help you with that.
Yeah.
So on a card invoice, you have retail price, sticker price, right? You have invoice, which is less dealer profit, and then they give what's called holdback to the dealer as a additional internal cost savings to a dealer. So it's about 3% typically of a sticker price of a car. At least it used to be 20 years ago. I mean, it's changed, but a $10,000 invoice car with a $12,000 sticker price might have a net of holdback invoice of $9,000. So if you're getting 3.4% off 10 grand or 3.41% off of $9,000 because of the holdback on a $12,000 sticker price, that $1,000 is what how I read the contract to read that opportunity might be enhanced. So that's the reason for that. So on a $40,000 Yukon, or I'm sorry, this is the F-250. I think I got I'm on the wrong agenda item. On an F-250 for 80 grand, that might be $1,500 holdback on a truck like that.
And so did you pull the Lee County contract and look at that, and then pull the Collier County contract and look at them side by side?
Yes,
And
yes.
that's what you saw?
Yes.
So what is the actual comparison between the Lee and the Collier then?
One says invoice and one says less holdback.
Less holdback, okay.
Ours, the current county, if we bought a truck from Galloway tomorrow, it would be less holdback, less 3.41%. The same
Okay,
dealer, same.
Let me ask this question then to Mr. Hennigan. Is there any consequences if we were to defer this item to our next meeting so that you guys could investigate if the Lee County contract that is less holdback would be more beneficial to the Port Authority?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so I think for us, and I don't know off the top of my head if we have the Lee County contract in our toolbox right now, we can definitely go and look at that and add it to us so we have the most exposure to all of the available contracts that are out there. So as a backup to this, if you will, we can also look at the other, and take that route as well.
So are you recommending then that we would pass this, but then give you direction along with that motion to go ahead and investigate the Lee County contract to see if you could pull that in?
Yes, because I don't know off the top of my head if we have that contract already in place.
So if we just said, what if I made a motion that said, we approve a piggyback of this vendor, and whichever of these two, we approve two piggybacks, so that you have a choice of which one is best.
Can I call her, we have
to
our
move forward.
procurement director here, just to get some clarity perhaps?
Sure. I have a follow-up question anyway before we,
For the record, Robert George, Senior Procurement Manager, Lee County Port Authority. We have utilized both contracts in the past. I would have to go back and get the specifics on why, but I can almost make the true assumption that it was because this contract will give us more years. I believe the Lee County contract was either coming up for resolicitation or it would be within the next year. I would have to confirm that.
Fair, yeah.
So, but,
This is not meant to be dramatic. This was
Nope.
just a good faith.
well, no,
I-
excellent questions.
Might have a coupon for this.
Excellent questions, and, but we do utilize, and we have utilized Lee County in the past. We do, as stated earlier, we go out and we canvass all. And, there'll be actually a document coming before, for staff of some 200 plus, if not more, potential contracts that would be accessible to us for various commodities and services. So we do try to do our best at due diligence, but we'll take this into consideration. And if it is, I'll be glad to bring that contract back to the board as well.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up question, if I may. Since you're from procurement, I appreciate that. Typically, hold-back periods are pretty short in duration. Is that the case too?
I would have to research because honestly, we've not really addressed a holdback scenario before. It has normally been a discount off of a list price or an invoice price.
Very familiar with the concept, having ordered at dealerships for a number of years. There's a retail price, there's a tissue price, and there's a holdback. And generally speaking, the holdback is for a very limited period of time.
It's meant to help you carry the cost of the car.
Correct, yes. It's meant to, obviously, it's the contribution by the manufacturer to try to deal with the marketing and different aspects of this. That's what they try to do it for. And many consumers want the best deal they can, but typically dealerships do not give or sell a car below what's known as tissue price. Holdback's always for them, it's for their marketing purposes. So I'm just, listen, it's been a lifetime since I did audits inside a dealership, but back in the day, the holdback period, and I'm going back 20 years, was like 90 days. It's not a significant period of time.
And Galloway Ford can always give us the better of the two prices. There is nothing stipulating in the Collier contract that they cannot exceed that discount. So.
And yeah, just for clarity, if I may, real quick.
Absolutely.
When we purchase anything, Mr. George and his department looks at all of our current contracts and determines what is the best value to the Port Authority. So even with all the various contracts that he has for any item he's purchasing, he leverages that, and they do great due diligence.
I am not doubting your ability, sir. I just
No concern there.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move approval of the staff recommendation.
I'll second that. Motion is second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Similar to the previous action, item 29 authorizes the piggyback of a Sourcewell contract to purchase non-Ford fleet vehicles and associated aftermarket equipment or options through National Auto Fleet Group. This competitively awarded contract provides access to 15 different manufacturers with discounts ranging from 1.16% to 38.46% off MSRP, ensuring favorable pricing, reducing procurement time, and providing flexibility to meet diverse operational needs. The contract is an initial 3-year term with 3 one-year renewals with anticipated expenditures exceeding $1 million over the life if it's over its life. Funding is available through airport operating funds.
I'll move approval, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it. Motion is second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next item.
Administrative item 30 awards the purchase and delivery of 2 Class 5 ARF crash trucks to the lowest responsive and responsible bidders, Rosenbauer, Minnesota LLC for the non-HIRET vehicle and Pierce Manufacturing Incorporated for the HIRET vehicle. A high reachable extendable turret, a HIRET, is a boom-mounted water foam cannon that can extend and, if necessary, pierce an aircraft fuselage to deliver water or foam directly inside. Both trucks being replaced were delivered in 2011 and will reach the FAA's minimum useful life of 15 years in 2026. Adding a second high-rev equipped truck will improve tactical firefighting capability, expand water and foam capacity, and provide additional protection as the airport grows. And Concourse E comes online. The contract awards totals $2.2 million, with funding provided through a combination of future FAA grant funds of approximately $1.7 million, future Florida Department of Transportation grant funds of approximately $460,000, and LCPA net revenues of $95,692. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I'll move the item.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any public comment on item 31? Sorry, 30. Any objection? No objection. Next item. Thank you. Emily has this one.
Good morning, Commissioners and committee members. For the record, Emily Underhill, Development. For administrative agenda item number 31, as you may recall, Parsons Transportation Group was recently contracted to provide project support services to support the Port Authority's management of the Terminal Expansion Phase 1 project. This item, in addition to a full-time project manager already assigned to the project, provides for additional full-time personnel for the following positions: a project controls manager, an office engineer, and an administrator for the implementation and continued maintenance of a new project management information system, Procore, as we talked about, for the project. The amount of the task is $3,598,826.56 and provides these services through the remainder of the project, which is estimated to be about 38 months. I'll happy to take any questions.
Any questions for staff at this time?
If I may, so I recall this item early on, this was, I think in January was the first time we talked about this.
Yes.
And the idea of having owner's rep Parsons come in here and work for us to help untangle what we were in the middle of phase 1 was a good idea. And I supported hiring them, but I asked the question that day and I said, do we need more than what you're asking for? Is there something else they can do for us? Because I knew we were shorthanded. We were struggling to right the ship at the time. And I said, if you need something, tell us now, because I don't want to wait and have to change the money and add money later. I want to get this project moving. If you need $5 million, $7 million, whatever, something else off the menu. And I was told that we didn't need that at that time. So what has changed? Why didn't we make this decision sooner? And what benefits will this service give us now?
Sure. When we brought Parsons on in January, we had a full-time project manager and some other staff that performed 6 different subtasks for us. One of them was trying to figure out what our needs were, what the gaps were. And so through that process, we've identified numerous things, and this task helps to address those deficiencies.
They brought new items to our attention that we need to fix and they can help us with?
Yes. Yes.
If I may, to hop in there, I think one of the terms that we use, or actually Emily used, was that they have a cafeteria plan when asked at that January meeting of what else do we need, what else is going on. And part of the way that the phase 1 was structured, knowing that we would need more help, was with the contingency. That was one of the documents that I showed you of with their conversations with them and internally, looking at, hey, right now we know we need something, we're going to do our due diligence, bring them on, and then make sure that we are staffed properly based on what they're initially seeing as they're doing their initial look, and then what we're evaluating to make any of those immediate corrections moving forward, which ends up with what we have here today.
So can you give us a hint on what we've learned in the last 8 months?
Yes. Well, we're bringing on these additional staff to address some improvements that are needed in the project controls area, as well as schedule analysis, and let's see here, what else? Well, that's essentially it. I mean, that's one of the big things, is identifying improvements needed in the project controls.
So how does that benefit us?
It benefits us by ensuring that we're having the proper documentation throughout the construction and tightening the procedures and processes related to the administration of the various contracts.
I think one of the things that we were all focused on and trying to understand at the time with the initial $350 million change order discussion was how did this happen and how can we avoid it happening again, right? So we wanted to make sure we had controls in place so that we had proper oversight and accountability measures in this project. So I think I recall that they were going to provide reports, and they're supposed to provide those reports in real time to the board at the same time as they were presented to staff. So
Yeah, we're working on a draft final report from Parsons Subconsultant, H and Company, who is doing a auditing of cost procedures. And we're working on the final draft right now for that, which you will soon see.
I thought that was a 6-month.
It is. We're at the tail end. I mean, we may be a little bit behind, but we're, like I said, we're finalizing that final draft for your review.
Commissioner?
Yeah.
If I may, Chair. Part of the concern with the Parsons report is there may be some litigation-sensitive items within it. So as we discussed in briefing, the legal department will receive a copy of that for review because one of the main issue on having Parsons do this look back is for litigation. And so that always has to be kind of in the back of our mind as we're looking through these is what's the potential impact of this on any litigation.
Yeah, for me, one of the tenets that I walked away from was make sure that the board gets it when I get it. I have not received it. That's you have not for the reasons Rob just stated.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Again, we were all looking for
Yes.
those oversight accountability issues, and so that we could help if help was needed, right? I mean, that was the whole point. We didn't want to hear about what happened wrong last year. We want to know things in real time so we can do a good job. So, how many more people will Parsons be giving us to assist us now on staff? How many more people are they coming? Are they working out of here?
Yes, they're going to be here. They're going to be here on site. There's some efforts that will be done remotely, but most of it, they'll actually be here on site.
And are they assisting us in training our people in this process so that we can be, after we don't, normally if you hire temporary help or assistance, to shore up a project, hopefully we're building the staff.
Sure, they'll be sharing their expertise
We can do
with
more
staff.
ourselves, take the training wheels off, so to speak,
Mhm.
and be better equipped for all of our other work. So is that
Yes.
part of their task or part of their mission?
Well, with the Procore administrator, they're going to be training staff on how to use the program and how to stand it up. And then with other matters related to construction, they'll be sharing their expertise. So sure, staff will be absorbing that and learning from that.
Okay. So $8 million is a lot of help. I just want to make sure that we're maximizing our benefits from
Yes,
that.
yes.
And not just doing it instead of us, and then they go away and we need to hire them for $4 million. Again, no offense. I mean, we want to get older and wiser is all I mean. So any other questions, gentlemen?
Chairman, I move the item.
Second?
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Administrative agenda item number 32. Last year, the Port Authority began a solicitation process to select a firm to provide project support services as an extension of staff to assist in the management of the Terminal Expansion Phase 2 or the Concourse E project. The RFQ resulted in 3 interested firms. One was disqualified. The 2 remaining firms, Jacobs Project Management Company and Cotter Consulting, gave presentations to the Airport Special Management Committee at their April 15th meeting. The ASMC ranked Jacobs as the #1 firm. Since that time, staff has negotiated a contract and a contract amendment that will provide for the following positions: a full-time senior project manager, part-time project controls manager, full-time office engineer, part-time scheduler, and a full-time administrator for the implementation and continued maintenance of the Procore Project Management Information System for the project. The amount of this task is $3,460,000 and provides these services through the remainder of the project, which is approximately 30 more months. I'd be happy to take any questions.
I move the item.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion?
Hate to say it, Chair, but I have a question.
Sure.
So this is the first contract that I saw where it precluded someone from bidding on something if they already had a contract with us.
We determined at the beginning of the solicitation process that we did not want to select the same firm that was doing the same work under phase one. So that was, I believe, prescribed in an addendum that was issued during that solicitation process. So because Parsons was selected to do the project support services for phase one, they were essentially disqualified for further consideration as part of this solicitation.
Okay, there was another project we discussed recently there where an existing contractor was awarded a second contract, and I had concerns about capacity and
Yes.
overlapping and other
Yes.
matters, if you recall. So
Yes.
is this clause something we're going to use going forward on all of our projects, or just?
No,
this
I think it was specific to this one, just because of the type of services that were being
Recall the discussion
provided.
of not having too many eggs in one basket, gentlemen.
If I may, Mr. Chair, part of the reasoning for this was the potential litigation aspect of the phase one project as opposed to phase two. So the desire was to have the entity, in this case Parsons, be focused on just the phase one and not have the phase two because of the litigation aspect of it. That was one of the reasons why to have it separate.
I'm not opposed to this. I actually like that strategy so that we have overloaded vendors that can't perform on time and on budget. So this mitigates that risk, and I appreciate that. I thought maybe that was a new idea that carried forward from our good idea session last time. Thank you for pointing that out. I'll support this.
All right, Chairman, I'll move approval then.
We had a motion.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we did a motion and a second. We're having
I'll
discussion.
I'll third it.
I'll fourth it.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please.
Administrative agenda item number 33. PGAL was previously selected as the designer to support major expansions to the rental car and parking garage facilities at RSW. This task provides for a full design effort towards the following improvements: terminal access road arrivals, roadway modifications, new rental car service site for 4 branded families at about 20 plus or minus acres, a temporary long-term parking lot, about 2,600 spaces, that will be converted to a permanent rental car storage parking area, a new 4th and 5th parking garage levels, about 1,150 spaces each, a new 3rd parking garage level on the outer wings, and a new quick turnaround area, about 8.5 acres, and ready return facilities. New elevated pedestrian bridges connecting the parking garage to the terminal building, and abandonment of the existing rental car fuel farm and a replacement with a new, and ultimate decommissioning of the existing rental car services sites within Skyplex. The design is complex and will involve extensive construction phasing and operational challenges. The design and permitting effort is anticipated to be a 22-month effort, and the amount is $15,781,482, and the cost will be paid by collection of rental car customer facility charges. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'd be happy to move this item and hopefully have it done by January.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second on the floor. Any public comment?
Find a
None?
parking spot then.
I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? This motion carries unanimously. Next item.
Administrative agenda item number 34. Schenkel Schultz was previously selected as the designer to support a new consolidated maintenance facility supporting storage and maintenance operations at RSW. The new site will be in close proximity to the new public safety building just off Air Cargo Lane by the end of runway 6. This item seeks approval of a professional services agreement and a contract amendment to provide full design services. The design and permitting effort is anticipated to be approximately 1 year, and the amount is $2,516,917.
Any questions?
Move the item.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Administrative agenda item number 35. This item awards a construction contract to the low bidder, Ajax Paving Industries, in the amount of $1,706,149.75 and establishes a total project budget in the amount of $2.5 million for the rehabilitation of taxiways A3 and D2 at Page Field.
Any questions?
Move the item.
Second?
Gentlemen, if I may, I
Mhm.
pulled this one apart a little bit here. I want to ask some questions, please. So the engineer's estimate on this project was $1 million,
$1,042,000. Mm-hmm.
and the bid came in at $1.7 million.
Correct.
How many bidders did we have?
We had one bidder.
Okay. So we hired Michael Baker. I don't know if anybody's here from Michael Baker. No? To do design estimating services for us.
Correct.
And my understanding is there's a process and accountability for their estimating services in their contract. So how does that work?
Well, their contract states that if the bid comes in over 5%, we have the option of asking them to redesign or rescope the project at their own cost. That wasn't in our best interest in this situation because we were up against a grant deadline. We were competing for these funds that had a deadline. So to delay execution of a contract would have jeopardized, basically would have lost that funding. The engineer did visit the entire bid schedule that Ajax provided. They noted 3 items that were particularly high. And in further investigation of that, they were able to explain why they were high and made that recommendation of award to the FAA, and the FAA concurred.
Okay. So in the documentation that we got online, you couldn't read the schedule of values or the side-by-side of
Okay.
what was here, so I had to blow this up. But they put in their bid, we're off $700,000. They put in $165,000 for mobilization. This is a 3-acre parking lot, similar to the same size we just did at Punta Rassa Boat Ramp. And $512,000 in there for safety protocols for a project that has a 65-day duration. That's a lot of hard hats.
Yeah. So this is an airfield project. Remember it's an
Barricades and those things.
Right. There's a lot of safety considerations, a lot of maintenance of traffic related to the construction efforts.
Wouldn't our engineer know that?
Yes, but this was a competitive bid. I mean,
Got one bid.
correct.
So why didn't we put it back out?
Again, we were up against a grant deadline, and it wasn't to our advantage to put it out there. We probably would have ended up with one bidder again. I mean, there's nothing to say we would have ended up with more bidders.
I find it challenging that we only get one bid on paving contracts when we have 7 active vendors in the Lee County side of our system.
We don't always get one, but in this particular case, we did.
Does anybody,
If I could, the past, Commissioner Monka, in the past over the years, we had this come up with only one bid or even 2 bidders. It's because obviously the constraints of doing work here in the airfield, a lot of the contractors don't want to deal with the security and deal with the traffic and deal with all the dynamics working within the airfield. And that's the challenge we've had with other vendors in the past. They just don't. It's not beneficial for them to leave other projects, larger projects, to come to a project here if it's a smaller project. But we've asked this question over the years, and this is what we've come in. What's happened. Larger projects, obviously, everybody bids on those, but the smaller projects like this, they just don't find it time-consuming, worth their trouble to come do the job because of all the restraints. Having to go through all the testing and whatever it may be to get access to the fields and everything.
this is just a pretty benign parking lot, repave in Page Field. It's not like we're in the middle of
it's a
a
little
runway strip out here, you know. When something comes in 70% over budget and we don't push back at all, it just bothered me. So if I'm the only one, that's fine.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think the grants also play an important part of this project. So after the grants are awarded, how much would the Port Authority actually be paying for this project?
So
I-
we just signed this grant. This is the one we did an
Yeah.
emergency meeting on.
Mhm.
So it just started a week ago, and it's a 4-year grant.
Right, I'm just trying to find out the
What
local
timeline
cost.
What timeline are we up against?
Mr. Chair, I have, it's just shy of $60,000.
Thank you.
So,
I was
yes,
looking for
I
that.
had it on my notes from a previous question. So to Emily's part about the timeliness, the FAA approval of the project, what's eligible to be grant funded, when we look at this and take everything in totality, our end cost is $60,000 versus the risk of not having that grant and having to be burdened with the full $2.5 million.
But
So that's,
we do have the grant. It's an agenda item.
no, we have, right, we have the grant, yes, correct, we have the grant because of the timeliness that it was put forth. So when we have, to Commissioner Pendergrass' comments, only one bidder, and also Ms. Underhill's comments about the timeliness of submitting, we have to show the FAA what was bid. And the FAA vets, thus the questions, that they went through on a few items, because the FAA is vetting. And, we were just up there for comparables talking about the runway expansion, and we were talking about those projected costs, and they're saying we have 50, 100 airports in the state of Florida. We see everybody's costs. We know how much everything is costing across Florida for asphalt, concrete, whatever they might fund, lighting systems, electrical. And if it's in line with what they're seeing in the rest of the state, then they agree to grant fund it, from that standpoint. So these things are looked at a tight lens by the FAA. And even though, to your point, it might be outside of that Article 6, 5%, I think it's 6.3C, it is within the parameters of what the FAA is seeing, and thus it's grant funded. So we end up paying $60,000 of a $2.6 million contract.
But we wouldn't have to pay anything if we could come in under this grant amount needed for the solicitation. When somebody tells me, I don't appreciate when somebody tells me I'm up against a grant deadline, and that grant deadline is 4 years from now on a 60-day project. I don't understand that.
No, it's
I
not.
think it was the submission of the grant.
Yeah, it's a submission.
Yeah,
You
so
have-
we wouldn't have been awarded the grant if we didn't have a vendor. Am I hearing this right, that if we didn't have a vendor on board, then we wouldn't have been awarded the grant?
Correct. If I may, I would like to ask Juliet what that grant deadline was. In June. Right.
The grant was
The
based
grant
on-
amount is based on the actual bid and those eligible costs. So in this particular case, we have eligible costs from Ajax, then we have it from the designer and the construction manager. And so all those costs are eligible across multiple contracts.
So if we would have gone back out for a rebid, which we could have and could still do, right? We would not have been awarded the grant.
We would have missed the grant application deadline for these types of funds, correct?
And we would have had to maybe apply for it next year then?
We
It
couldn't
would have
apply-
been
we
like a
couldn't
year
rebid it
delay, or
now?
how long would the delay have been?
I'm going to bring Juliet to the podium. Can you come here, please? Juliet is our Director of Governmental Affairs and Grants.
What was the question again?
So basically, had we decided to go out to a rebid, we obviously would not have been able to submit then for this grant. When
Correct.
would the next grant cycle have opened up?
Well, we were competing for these funds this fiscal year, so next year we wouldn't have been competing for them. So we would have missed out on.
Why would we not compete for them next year? Just
Well, because the FAA looks at the, 3 years ahead. So we were competing for fiscal year 25. And if we miss that deadline, then we lose that money. It goes to someone else.
And that, Mr. Chair, that is the 4-year time frame to spend the money. So you have a certain subset tranche of money that you can get allocated. If you don't submit to the point, you lose it, and you don't get another chance the next year because they might be applying whatever governmental funds are available to different types of projects in any given year.
But then I think the point that David's trying to make is if we had a second vendor, maybe the price would be lower, but that also doesn't take any consideration that the grant may be lower as well.
Correct. Because the grants, correct me if I'm wrong, are a percentage of total project, I think, based on the information you provided us yesterday.
Right. The FAA share is 95% in this particular project.
How much?
95%.
Okay. Okay, so it's the same 5% we'd have to pay regardless.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? We have a motion, a second on the floor. Hearing no other discussion. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please.
All right, I think we're on item 36, is that right? Administrative agenda item number 36. This item is related to the previous item. This agenda item is for a contract amendment with Michael Baker, acting as the engineer of record, to provide construction administration services for the rehab of taxiways A3 and Delta 2 at Page Field. The contract amendment is in the amount of $145,136.36.
I'll move approval.
I'll second it. Motion and second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Damn it, I can't help when things are in my field and I look at something on a contract. When we design these bids and you bid a project, the engineer gives a schedule to Ajax or whoever's bidding the job. They had this job showing as a 185-day schedule with a 120-day mobilization period on here and 60 days to close it out on 60 days worth of work. And I think there may be some additional burdens of costs how the job was bid because of the way the engineer mistyped some of these agenda items for the duration and timing of this project. That's costing some of these additional fees to us. So I've never seen 120 days mobilization period on a contract or a bid before.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
120-day mobilization period is a long time to move in before you start.
Well, it could be for the fact that there's a lot of long lead items associated with this work. For example, the edge lighting along the taxiways is a long lead item. I mean, it could be for that type of stuff.
Any other discussion? We got a motion and a second on the floor. I'll close discussion. Anyone opposed?
I'm opposed.
One opposition. Motion carries 3-1. Next item, please.
Yes, administrative agenda item number 37 is related to items 35 and 36 previously. This agenda item is for a contract amendment with Owen Ames Kimball, acting as the construction manager, to provide CM and CEI services for the rehab of taxiways A3 and Delta 2 at Page Field. The contract amendment is in the amount of $348,653.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Why are CEI services required for this project?
It's materials testing of the
So
asphalt.
what it is? Why is it being included?
We think it's in our best interest to test all the materials that are going as part of the taxiway rehab to ensure that they meet all the FAA specifications. It's providing all the quality assurance testing for the different materials.
But that's a line item in Ajax's contract already.
That's quality control. Ajax does quality control. We hire our CEI firm to do quality assurance testing. They're two very separate, distinct things. FAA has very strict standards on their testing of the P401 asphalt mix.
And I'm confident that Ajax knows how to pave a parking lot.
Yes. And they know how to do airside pavement as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So
The
Does
FAA
the grant-
requires the quality assurance testing of the material. It's in their FAA spec that we use.
and that's not part of the engineer's responsibility, Baker?
The engineer reviews all the testing reports submitted by the CEI firm.
Lot of people.
questions?
Chairman, I'll move approval of the item.
Second. I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next item.
Administrative agenda item number 38 is related to the previous items, 35, 36, 37. This item ratifies the executive director's execution of an agreement for an FAA Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act Airport Infrastructure Grant, or AIG grant, in the amount of $2,246,623 for the rehab of taxiways Alpha 3 and D2 at Pagefield.
Move the item.
Second.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. Any public comment on 38? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais.
It's the same grant we just talked about, so.
Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. 39, please.
For item number 39, this is also related to the previous items, 35, 36, 37, and 38, and this item seeks acceptance of an FDOT grant in the amount of $112,500 for the rehab of taxiways Alpha 3 and D2 at Pagefield.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? No one opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item.
Agenda item 40. This item is related to the previous admin agenda item number 30, presented by Steve Roque. It ratifies the executive director's execution of an agreement for an FAA Airport Improvement Program grant in the amount of $1,724,151 for the acquisition of 2 aircraft rescue and firefighting crash vehicles at RSW.
I move we accept the grant.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'll
Go ahead.
second that. I have a motion and a second. Public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll close discussion. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. 41.
For item number 41, as a supplement to the prior agenda item, this item seeks acceptance of an FDOT grant in the amount of $462,026 in state funding for the acquisition of 2 aircraft rescue firefighting crash vehicles at RSW.
Grant agreement.
I'll move approval of accepting the money for the trucks.
Second. Motion and second on the, or any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Item 43.
Item 43 is to approve the annual merit increase for the executive director. The executive director's agreement allows for an annual salary adjustment to reflect merit increases of no less than 4% and up to 6% of the executive director's then current salary.
Thank you. I'll start off. I believe Steve's been given a monumental task of trying to right-size this, and certainly I applaud everything he's done as reflected in my performance appraisal. Tough situation considering COVID, considering all the different changes, and certainly coming in here, hitting the ground running. I am very pleased with the work you do, Steve. And with that in mind, I'm going to make a recommendation. We give you a 6% increase.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring the discussion up to the dais. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your support.
Commissioner items, Mr. Hammond?
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I just want to congratulate Steve on an excellent review. Man, when you took over, it was quite a task you were taking on, and so far so good. I appreciate the communication that you've had with the board. I appreciate you highlighting the problems you've highlighted and working through those problems with us the way you have. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Again, thank you, Steve, for everything you actually, like you said, you fell into this job because doing a bad time, but as I was driving here this morning, you come across, you see the rise in the new building going up, see the support of your staff here at all the police department here, you see all the positive momentum going on in the airport. So again, thank you for your continued effort and thank you for working with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
We both walked into these new jobs at the same time.
Yes.
So I can appreciate the learning curve and acclimation to tackling these, but thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you. I appreciate all the board's support and the help.
No commissioner items and any commissioner appointments. Commissioner Hammond?
I have none.
Mr.
I have none.
Mr. Monaco?
Actually, I had a commissioner item.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
And again, I'm sorry for the airtime today. A lot of this was construction-related matters that I had some questions on. But to that end, and hiring Parsons and Jacobs here, I would like to make a motion that we set up a workshop to discuss the status of Phase 1 and Phase 2 in detail with all of our stakeholders, the Manhattan, Atkins, Suffolk, Manhattan, EGS, Parsons, Jacobs, to brief us and bring us up to speed with the current project status and funding to see where we're at, to make sure that we're on time and on budget. That may give us some time to look at the Parsons reports, but I think it would be healthy for us to do a checkup meeting since the reset and to review our monthly reports. And I hope what comes out of that meeting is that each of us will have a chance to review the information that is shared with us. And then our monthly reports that are being presented to us now, we can upgrade them and make sure that it includes all the information and details and support information that we need to maintain proper oversight and accountability for these projects. That's my motion.
I support having a workshop. I wasn't notified. Did you put that out before? There were so many emails went in and out last time. I'm not sure if we got notice of the, usually we put out the commissioner items the day before. We talked about this a few weeks ago downtown about putting things out. So we have public notice to the public and for the board to obviously to look at our schedules, to engage. Do you have a date certain for that, or?
I would love to see it happen in the month of October, so it's in between this meeting and our next one. So moving forward, we could have that. But respectfully, commissioners, I wasn't sure 100% to make a motion for a workshop. It required a formal process. So forgive my, I'll pull my record card one last time.
I'm okay with having a workshop. It's been about 6 months. We did all this in March. I mean, that's the thing. We went through the whole relaunch in March. Lord willing, they've been spinning up. Certainly Suffolk is doing a fantastic job. We're seeing steel and concrete and everything. So, you know, I've had personal tours with Mr. Hennigan and our team. So certainly I think all of us have individually worked very hard to stay on top of the two projects. But if you wanted to have a 6-month workshop, I guess that I don't see why we would oppose that. Yeah.
I was thinking in the past what we usually done the workshops after this board meeting, we do that the same day, so it's no conflicts with other board meetings of port authorities or any or other liaison assignments. So usually do it after immediately following the.
I'm open either way. It is that kind of 6-month checkup.
Easier
kind of
for the special
review.
management team. It's easier for us to schedule after the port authority meeting to have a workshop the same day for scheduling reasons.
Yeah, I like that concept, Commissioner Pendergrass.
I'll amend my motion to the workshop following a regular board meeting.
Yeah, I believe
So hopefully November.
Yes, I believe it's November 6th is the next board meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay. Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any public comment on that? Seeing none, I'll close it. Any discussion?
Now, we all gave board direction that we wanted to stay apprised and informed and to make sure that we weren't caught off guard with any future projects. So
Are you suggesting also include the ASMC?
yes,
Yes.
I'll make that amendment as well.
Second.
That was my intent.
No, I think it's a good idea.
Any other discussion? We have a motion, a second on the floor. No other discussion. We'll close the discussion. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Any commissioner appointments?
I have one
more item.
I have one more item that I think a lot of people in this room in the back might be waiting to hear about. So respectfully, ladies and gentlemen, as a new commissioner, I have stated since strategic planning last year that we have upcoming budget challenges and we asked for cost cuts across the board in all of our departments of, not yet, not now, sorry, pardon me. Across the board, we have asked every constitutional office, our own teams, 29 departments, across the board for any cost savings, cost measures, and budget items that we can do to improve our budget and improve our services for Lee County. That's no secret. And it's obviously I've made it, I'm interested in whatever we can do to upgrade our services in any subject, as you've seen, from software to engineering and testing. So it was mentioned to me that there may be an opportunity to look at this potential for the sheriff's office to take over the Port Authority or serve the Port Authority to some degree, and there would be a cost savings of potentially millions of dollars. And I said, all I said, this is the God's honest truth, is I'd like to see what that looks like, right? If it's either going to be better or worse, but I didn't lobby against anybody. I think everybody here does a fantastic job, and I'd be willing to wager that if we did a side-by-side comparison, more than likely we'd come out on the good side of it, right? So, but it's our job as commissioners to make sure that when we got elected, that we were good stewards of our taxpayer dollars, keep everybody safe, and to make sure that we were testing the limits of all these things. Our own staff at Lee County, we put the same challenge on them when the taxes were lower than our first snapshot. They found $16 million and upgraded some things. So testing and examining things is a healthy exercise. So I wanted everybody here to know, I got emails saying I was defunding the police, for God's sakes. And all I said was, I would be interested to see what that side-by-side would look like. It's either going to be better or worse, and that's the truth. So I wanted to state that for the record. At the same time, I would like to make a motion to direct staff to collaborate with Lee County Sheriffs and outside experts and our team here to collect comparative data on operational policies, service levels, staffing, training, and pay scales, budget and funding impacts, short and long-term, legal regulatory considerations, transition scenarios, and best practices from other airports. Staff would then report findings back to the board for further review and discussion at a future meeting. So it's just a request for information. I'm not making a motion to lobby either way. I would just like to see what that comparison would look like. And that's my motion.
I'm struggling with a walk-on of this magnitude right now. I don't necessarily understand your point of view, and I think tonight when I sit in chambers, it'll be my 19th budget I've passed. So very familiar with the process and very open to any type of savings. But back to an earlier comment by Commissioner Pendergrass, I mean, you've got to really be careful of walking on items that are this magnitude. You want to put that as an agenda item, that's fine, that's your prerogative. But to walk on something in this magnitude, I struggle with.
So could I have to make sure I understand that correctly? So I was only asking this to be brought back for a future discussion agenda item.
So maybe what you can do
is there a way to
I think
craft
you could,
this?
if you want to put it on the agenda so we understand all the pieces you want, it'd be very clear then.
But my motion was the staff to gather the information to put it on a future agenda for discussion so we could do the comparison, I'm not trying to go farther than the request for information to come back to us so that it's not a surprise. So they have 60 days to do due diligence in the presentation. So I just want to be clear. I'm not voting for or against anything.
Chairman, let me, hope I can clear this up. I'm probably going to yield to the county attorney, but what you're asking for is actually impact bargaining. We just approved a 3-year agreement with the FOP and the police officers. Anything changes in employment as far as impact bargaining, collective bargaining, through that process, that would have to be done through the Port Authority and the FOP before you would do anything that affects the pay or compensation of the unit. So I would yield back to the county attorney and tell them what we can do within our authority, even looking at that, because that's something that both sides would have to agree to in impact bargaining through the collective bargaining process.
They can't tell us what they already cost right now?
So, county attorney, if you could.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
As of your action this morning, you now have a labor agreement in effect with the FOP and the officers represented in this room. Commissioner Pendergrass is entirely correct. in order to change a wage, term, or condition of employment, we would have to engage in impact bargaining. With all due respect, that's part of the difficulties of having items brought forward, knowing the nature and extent of the request. Sitting here, I'm somewhat confused, already given the discussion as to whether the request was to put an agenda item on in the future to direct staff to assimilate the requested information, or to assimilate the requested information and bring it back. So the second is a totally distinct and certainly more intensive undertaking than the first.
Could you please repeat those two forks in the road, so to speak? To bring it back for a future agenda item.
To
To
undertake
agenda-
a study
to-
or to have the information available as an agenda item. Sorry, but gave that to you.
I could live with it either way. I wasn't trying to rush the process. I just wanted to have it. It was a request. This was a simple request for information. So
Mr.
I
Chairman?
completely respect the process and whatever agreements are here. That's,
Well,
Again, oh, I'm sorry.
yes, please.
I was going to offer, Mr. Chairman, we have a motion made. Does anybody wish to second it?
No.
Okay, I see nobody wishes to second it, so the motion dies for lack of a second.
Well, then I'll withdraw it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I completely support you and all your efforts. It was simply a budget test question. That's all. So thank you for keeping us safe.
And then may I just add before we decide, just wanted to say thank you so much to all the folks who showed up
I'm
today.
sorry.
And the interest that they had in this. And I really appreciate the bargaining period we just went through. From everything I heard, was a wonderful bargaining period. Morale seems to be actually at a pretty high level for our Port Authority Police Department, and I think it's really important. We've done a tremendous amount of work with a new chief over the last couple of years to rebuild morale, to rebuild the department, and it had a challenging period, and I really feel like we're heading in the right direction. And so glad to see that things have continued to head in the right direction, and I'll just finish by saying thank you for your service.
Yeah, that's why I add to that. That's where we go from now, and this is something Steve and the chief's going to deal with, is trust. Everybody here today sees the board's position is supporting your, based upon the item earlier we approved and the conversation here today. So please go today and serve the public and understand we do trust you, we do believe in you, and you can trust us. So thank you.
Can I please just close out for a moment? I ask a lot of rookie questions. I'm trying to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars and give good services to Lee County, and that's what I ran on. So I ask a lot of questions, as you can tell, but it's no reflection on your service. I didn't even tell anybody 2 days ago I was gonna do this today, and I hadn't even made a final decision on it, and it was, that idea got floated out ahead of me, and it caused a lot of angst that was unintended, and I certainly didn't mean to cause that on anybody or their families. It was simply an informational inquiry, and again, I respect all of you and everything that you do to keep us safe, and it was never my intention. I would have bet that you would have won the side-by-side, so I just asked for the facts. So thank you again for your time and attention. I'm sorry to have kept you here today, especially if it was your day off. Happy to support your contract, and with that, I'll close.
I'll make some closing comments. Gentlemen, ladies, I appreciate your service. As someone that's dealt with FOP as a mayor of Sanibel for about a dozen years, and certainly dealt with 13 collective bargaining, so very familiar with the FOP process. I've always found you to be more than fair through the process. And listen, as someone that employs an awful lot of people, it's really the staff that allows me to do what I do here. My companies continue to run. So thank you for all your work. It's no secret my family comes from a family of blue. My uncle was chief of police in New York. So just most importantly, thank you, and just be safe out there. Appreciate it.
Because they were PBA in New York. Sorry, hey, I'm sorry.
But all my FOP experience is here, Cecil.
It used to be PBA.
I appreciate it. With that in mind, we'll go over to the chair of
He's not here.
ASMC.
Yeah,
Anybody
as
have a
acting
report?
chair, I had a long list with the hour, no comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Executive Director?
Just real quick, I'd like to thank the board for all the support in ASMC as well, for not only myself, but for staff this past year, as well as the attorney's office. We've, I think, accomplished a lot. We have a lot ahead of us, and I'm proud to lead the organization and everybody in the room. So thank you for the opportunity.
Court attorney? Any
Mr. Chairman, no additional items, just some final commentary if I could with regard to the people represented here. As you know, our office was involved in the labor negotiations that led to the contract that was on your agenda today. And let me just reaffirm the board's comments from your bargaining team's perspective that we truly appreciate the relationship we have with the officers and their representatives. This collective bargaining session should set the standard. We should be so lucky to set the standard for all future bargainings with all other unions that we have. These ladies and gentlemen really stepped up. They are true supporters of your team, and that was reflected at the bargaining table. So thank you, sir.
Well stated. Thank you. Any public comments? Now, seeing any public comment, I'll close that. With that in mind, I'll call for an adjournment. Thank you all. Thank you.
Good meeting.
Appreciate your time.